Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled The Approach to Psak Halacha of Rav Yoseph Karo, Part 3. First year we discussed his introduction to Rav Yosef, where he writes that he does not go after all the different Rishonim, rather Rambam Rosh. Part 2 we mentioned a Shaila. What about Rov? How does he deal with Rov? And now Yetz Hashem will see if we can see an answer to that, how he ignores the majority of Poskim, Rishonim, and follows Rambam Rosh. So Rav Ovadya Yosaif in Yechaveh Daat at the end of Chelek Hey has Klalei Marana Shulchan Aruch, the rules of Psak of Rav Yoseph Karo. He brings in the introduction of Rav Yosef, who writes that he follows Rambam Rif and Rosh. He brings in the Rosh, the Ramah and the Marshal, who challenge Rav Yosef Karo and says, how do you do this? How do you go against the Rov? And he brings a fascinating answer. He writes the following. He says, yes, it would seem to be that Rov should be Machriya, as the famous Gemara Baba Metzia, where we go after the Rov. A Gemara of Adazara talks about following the Rov, Acharai Rabim L'hatot, it's a pasuk. Yet, it's not so simple. In the case of Rav Yosef Karo and any other case of Halacha, you have a phenomenon of Rov. Why is that? So here's Rav Ovadya's answer. V'nirli yashev al pi ma shekatav Torat Emet. In the Shelut Shvot Torat Emet, he says there's an answer that he thinks would help us understand the whole sugya. Hatam shanu nohagim l'ton shemufresh zachota mochzek b'mamon. He says the reason in certain cases that we paskin a certain way, even neged rov, even though it seems to be that you cannot go by a miyat neged the rov. He says, why? Because lo katu atosos elek shadayanim nosim v'notnim b'yachad panim el panim. When do you have the real halachas of rov, where rov is koveya and you must follow rov? When you have everyone sitting in a room, like in a beis din, all the dayanim talking and arguing out the case back and forth. And then you have 3 dayanim, 23 dayanim, 70 dayanim, arguing and discussing back and forth. Then you have the mitzvah d'oraita, Acharai Rabim L'hatot. You have to follow the Rabbim. That's when you have it. But when you have someone wrote a tshuva here, another one wrote a commentary there, someone wrote a sefer over there, and they didn't see each other, they didn't argue it out, even though, yes, they wrote their svaras in the sefer, in the svarim, but they weren't face-to-face, arba einayim, eye-to-eye, arguing, discussing, and going back and forth. Then it's not a phenomenon of rov. So to me, it's an amazing idea. What Rav Ovadya is saying is that by the Shulchan Aruch, he had a right to go to Rambam Rif and Rosh and not follow the Mordechai, Tosfos, and all those who follow Mordechai and Tosfos. He wasn't bound by rov, because all those who shown on the road, the Agga, the Mordechai, the Tosfos, the Rambam Rif, they didn't sit together in a room and argue it out and then have a vote. And because they didn't go through that process, then Rav Yosef Karo is not subject to the principle of rov, and therefore he can decide what he thinks is the best way to approach Psak Halacha. So we're going to elaborate more on this topic in Shir number 4. Shalom.